Hey guys, it's Gabby Plummer. Actually, I am one of the 3 kids and 3 crazy but cool kids, and so this is my video of me going to sleep. Bye. Okay, so the first thing I do when I do this, when I go to sleep, I basically put my hair in a braid. So, first thing I do is take a shower. First thing I put my hair in a braid, then I take a shower. I already took a shower before I put my hair in a braid. Now I'm going to put my hair in a braid. So, let me just get on my hair. So. Okay. My hair might look like bad. I know. But anyway. Do this. It's not the best braids ever, but it does hold my hair for a night. And that's what I need. Okay. Okay. And my braid in. I'm just gonna pull back my bangs. So, yeah. So, now that I have that out and show you the back, which it probably looks like a mess. So, now I'm just going to turn over to where I do my rest of my stuff. That's my table. So, let's do it. So, the first thing I do is moisturize my face with this cranberry lotion that I got from the Bath & Beyond. So I'm just going to put it all over my face. I usually do it at the table, but I'm just going to do it right here. I took about that much. So, and then I just I need a little bit more. Okay, I rub the rest of my hand. Now I just close my eyes and rub it in. So, here we go. Oh, my friend's calling me, so I'm just gonna. Hey, Summer. I'm doing a video right now.
Oh.
So you're on the video, like your voice.
God.
So, this is my friend Summer. Say hi, Summer.
Hi.
Yeah, that's my friend. Okay. So I usually call her at night, or she calls me, so I'm already in my clothes, so. And that's it. And then I go to bed, so.